What is up, my fellow Chibits? Today, I'm here to bring all of you the weekly anime review of Drifters. Friday is finally here, my favorite day of the week. As always, you know why. Some of my favorite shows of Fall of Anime 2016 comes out today, and to really top it all off, Drifters has a new episode. So, before I get into really just diving into different things about this episode, there's something I want to kind of talk about, which was the big topic of discussion in last week's video, comment section, but also many were just talking about it in general on, social media, to, YouTube, to Facebook, all sorts of places all over the internet. It was a big topic of discussion with last week's episode, and so I kind of want to dive into it and discuss this real quick. Something that many were kind of either upset with, they were kind of on the fence about, or they liked it. It's something I kind of want to tackle and kind of get the general consensus of when it comes to anime onlys and manga readers too. So, as I talked about, the main villain of the Ends has a hole in his hand, okay? He has a robe on. We do know that the Ends are people supposedly a part of history that have been betrayed, and they've died a very gruesome death, and they hate humans now because of what happened. And I mentioned how there were certain symbols in last week's episode, with the cross to the, the hole in the hand, and different things like that, crucifixion. And many came to the conclusion of one select person in history, and I'm just gonna say right now, before I go any further, I might have a little bit of, I guess, a discussion here, and it's just something that's really discuss the design of this villain, okay? And I just want to be point blank with all of you, at this time of where I'm at in the manga, I have no idea who that is, okay? I just want everybody to know I have no idea who the main End, the Black King, is. I have no idea who it is. It's not really been revealed yet. I have a couple guesses, but it's not been revealed. So I kind of want to go through that. I want to, kind of give you my guesses of who it might be, but I want to say once again, I have no fucking idea who it is. I really don't, because it has not been revealed yet. So, as I stated, with the different key features of the Black King, the leader of the Ends, there's certain things that make him very distinct, that make you think of a biblical figure, which would be Jesus. Now, the reason why is because of the crucifixion. You see the crucifixion symbol in last week's episode. You also see the hole in hand, and if you think about Jesus, he was nailed on the cross. He was crucified. But also, we have it to where this man is able to heal people. We see that in this episode. And instantly, many might think and look at it as if this is actually Jesus. And if you think about Jesus's, story in the Bible, you know that one of his final words in the Bible was that, "Why have you forsaken me?" Now, add a few or take a few lines from it, but pretty much the point stands is that was one of the things Jesus said in the Bible. "Why have you forsaken me?" And we know, if you know the story of Jesus, which majority of people in this world really know about the story, just the thing is that the writer, most likely, of the series probably twisted in a way and is using that point of, "Why have you forsaken me?" And if this is Jesus, might have turned him evil. Now, like I said, I don't know if it is Jesus. I have no idea if it is. But it's implied that that's the way he possibly could be the villain, because of that one line in the Bible. But there's other characters we need to think about throughout history that this possibly could be. There's two people that come to mind, and there's one reason why I say one character and another reason why I say the other. For one, let's look at the staff, okay? The staff that you have this supposed Black King carrying, our Jesus-type character. This person has a staff that looks oddly Egyptian. For instance, the symbol on it looks Egyptian. When I think of Egyptian, someone that was an elder, someone that was a leader in biblical times, I think of Moses. That's who I think of, especially when it comes to the Egyptian era. So, maybe this person could be Moses as well. Like I said, I don't know who it is. I'm just throwing out guesses. Maybe it's Moses. Now, another person, which this is another reason why I think this person might be this other person, is because of the upside-down cross, the crucifixion. St. Peter. Many might not know about St. Peter and all that, but St. Peter was also someone that was working directly underneath Jesus, and there is a likely possibility that this could be, St. Peter as well. Someone that was crucified, but also someone that died kind of in a tragic way. So when you think about all this, maybe this person could also be St. Peter. So when you think about all of this, though, there's three people that come to mind that it might be, but it could be possibly someone that we did not expect. But at this time, though, many have been looking at the, consensus of, who this person is as Jesus as something that's very controversial. It's a very controversial topic because, I mean, it's something that you don't really see often. Often we see a lot of, different anime that try to let us know that sometimes the things in the Bible are evil, or, how, people use the Bible in ways that are evil. We've seen this a lot in anime and manga. I've seen it quite often, too. I've seen a lot of things like that with religion stuff in anime and manga, the way it's used. But this is the first time I think I have ever seen in a series, and that makes you really speculate if the final villain of the series, or the main villain, is actually Jesus. And it's something very controversial, something that many might not sit right with, because it's a touchy subject. And I just kind of want to ask the general consensus of what everybody thinks about it. How do you all feel about this character supposedly being Jesus, but evil, or even Moses or Saint Peter? How do you all feel about that? Now, like I said, I don't know if it is them, but it looks like it, especially with the key signs we have gotten from these recent episodes. It kind of looks like it. So I'm asking, how does everybody feel about that? I mean, is it something that shouldn't have been tackled, something that shouldn't have been used, or is it something that's actually a welcome change and something very different from what normally is done in anime and manga? I'm just curious. Please let me know in the comments below of how everybody feels about that. How do you feel about the Black King? Because that was a big topic last week. I just want to know. Manga readers, how do you feel about it? Anime onlys, how do you feel about it? So, getting off of that, though, let's talk about, the episode in general. So, this episode, it's kind of like a calm episode. There was a lot of serious moments throughout it, and comedy moments, but it was like a calm episode for the actual real setup to come. Some of the really good and gruesome moments in the next couple episodes, which I'm not going to spoil, but are pretty fucking badass. Like, you're going to be hyped. Yeah, I mean, I swear right now, there's going to be some really good scenes, especially next week if the certain scene I'm thinking of does happen. But big thing is, though, this was mainly setup, kind of setting in motion what the main plot right now is about. Besides taking down the Ents, taking down, the Black King and all that, before we do all of that, you have to where the characters are trying to rally an army. They're trying to build an army for they could stand together and fight these historical figures that have came all into one place. And to do this, Toyohisa are coming together pretty much to conquer all the different territories in this country for they can rule them, become their leader, and rally them all together to tackle the Ents. And so, it's kind of like the evil guys doing evil shit, but for the good reasons. So, it's really cool when you think about it. Look, I mean, Oda Nobunaga, throughout history, he's very, very popular. Like, in the terms of history in Japan, many people know about him. And he's kind of like what you can consider a villain, someone that's necessarily evil. And when you think about how Oda Nobunaga is actually a villain, but he's being used as a good guy in this series, it's pretty enjoyable, but he's actually still doing some rather crusty and evil shit. I mean, he's wanting to go conquer territories and build an army because he wants to get everybody under his control for he can control them and have these individual lords disputing and fighting against each other. He'll just have them all under his banner and everything will be fine. So, I mean, overall, just seeing Oda Nobunaga and even Toyohisa doing stuff like this, it lets you know that this isn't going to be your traditional, everybody, let's save the day and all that, let's fight the evil villain. These characters are still evil. They're still kind of doing things in a crusty way, and that's not going to be thrown aside. The writer's letting us know, even though they're kind of necessarily on the good side, they're still kind of evil. They'll still do some pretty fucking evil shit to get what they want, and that's what Oda and Toyohisa is doing. So, I love that. I love that about this story. I love it about Drifters of how it's able to do something like that. And one of the big things about this episode, too, is especially seeing Oda Nobunaga saying he doesn't want to lead. He wants to be the man pulling the strings behind the scenes, which is rather odd when you think about it. If you think about the story of Oda, and if you think about what type of person he is in general, him wanting Toyohisa to lead is kind of suspicious, odd, and you're like, okay. And one of the big things you can get out of the scene is when he appointed Toyohisa as the leader, is because Oda was getting sentimental. He was remembering his son. And as we know, Oda's son has died. He found out about this very recently, and he's probably looking at Toyohisa as some form of successor, like an heir. Even though they're not blood related, he's still probably looking at him as some form of successor or something. He sees a lot of willpower in him, and maybe he's looking at him as some form of, son, and he's thinking of himself like a parental figure. And when Toyohisa point blank stated, like, I'm not your son, it probably hurt Oda's feelings quite a bit, because he's like, oh shit, yeah, you aren't. And so, it's pretty sad when you think about it, but it also adds a little bit of characterization for him, for the future episodes. We see comedy throughout this episode, and it's something I've not really tackled and talked about since the first episode, and so I feel like I want to save some room and talk about this right now. So, one of the big things about comedy is that it's subjective. It comes down to your personal taste. That's, at the end of the day, what it's about. And I've seen a lot of discussion also about the comedy of Drifters. It's a hit or miss type comedy. I will be completely honest. That's how I feel about it. It's a comedy that sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. For instance, the series of Drifters is a very gritty, dark show. It has a lot of serious moments and evil faces and stuff like that throughout the episodes or even the chapters of the manga, but then sometimes it shifts over into a comedy segment, and sometimes this works and sometimes it doesn't. It depends on, the reader/viewer if it works or not for them. And I mean, I can see how many might not enjoy this episode because of some of the comedy segments used throughout the episode. I mean, one of my favorite moments of this episode, though, was definitely getting to see the one to where they were trying to communicate with the elves, and they were just trying to learn the dialogue and stuff like that. That was one of my favorite scenes of the episode. But I mean, I can see where many might not like this about the show. They might not like this comedy segments of the show because it kind of feels either sometimes maybe forced, or sometimes it just feels like it's trying to shift the tone too fast. And I can understand that. I completely understand if many do not like the comedy of Drifters, because sometimes you're wanting to watch a serious moment, but then all of a sudden it turns into like this dispute that's kind of turned into a comedy segment. And I can see why many might be upset with that, but I'm just curious. I mean, how does everybody feel about, the comedy of Drifters so far? Is it hit or miss? Is it something you personally enjoyed so far, or do you not like it at all? Do you think it's actually lowering the series quality in your eyes? Let me know your thoughts on that. I love you all so much. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Please be safe. Chibi out.